Hello, everybody, and welcome to Let's Talk About Christianity. Do not fear, I'm back. I know you guys had a long day with Keith and Pablo last week. Don't worry, because I'm back. I'm back from my vacation. I am back. I am back.
Are you rested and rejuvenated? And
I'm rested and sunburned.
I was going to ask if you were recovered from your sunburn yet.
I'm peeling today. I'm in the stage of peeling. So, I'm at that stage right now, and my back's itching a lot. My shoulders are itching, but it is what it is. You gotta risk it for the beach, man. I mean, I love the beach. I don't love it as much as Miranda. Now, Miranda can sit on the beach for 5 straight hours, do nothing else other than sit on the beach and look at the ocean. But after about 2, I'm out. I got to go to do something. So I went down there, and I think most of my sunburn came from playing golf. I got more sunburn playing golf than I did on the beach.
It probably could happen.
That sun's hot.
Yes, it is, and I'm over that. I will put sunscreen on. I'm not going to get
You've
burnt.
got alabaster skin.
But
you got fair skin.
Well, yes, I do, and I've got the sunspots to prove it. My hands are starting to look pretty rough, but
in the spirit of July 4th, I did get to witness a Marine graduation at Paris Island, which was awesome.
Which is actually where you were when it came time to record last week.
I thought the graduation was on Saturday. It was actually on Friday, and I didn't find that out until Thursday night, and nobody else could do it on Saturday. So I was like, well, you all go ahead and do it. It was Friday.
We had it all planned for Friday morning, and we actually didn't tell you this part last week when when Pablo and I were recording, but Zach thought he had it worked out to be on the episode, and then he did not, and like I told you before we started recording, we only threw you under the bus once, maybe twice.
I feel like that's not. I'm gonna have to go back and listen because I feel like it was probably more than once or twice. I know we're going to throw Pablo under the bus at least 5 times today. At least.
Yeah, we can start right now if you want.
Okay, you go ahead.
Because I'm telling you, they are in. Pablo is in the city of Ica, Peru, and he is with the Yes 2 campaign. And I know several of the ones who are on this Yes 2 campaign, and we talked a little bit about that last week, the Yes 2 campaign, but that's where Pablo is at right now. And I've seen a lot of pictures of food from this campaign. Every once in a while, you'll see a picture of them actually working, but mostly it's the food and
food.
Sol de Ica, the hotel that they are staying at, which Zach, you are familiar with.
Yes.
Looked like they had just laid out a feast for them to eat. And, I commented on Facebook and I said, obviously I've been going on the wrong campaign. and I started to tag John Farber, in that. But, it seems like they're having a good campaign. While we're talking about that, John is actually in Honduras this week. And they are on campaign in the city of San Diego, Honduras.
From what I've seen on social media, it's been quite successful as well.
Well, I don't know exactly where they're at. I know that they've had 5 baptisms so far on that campaign, and and I talked to John a little bit last night actually about this because I commented to John and I'm like, hey, it seems like there was a major difference in the ages of the ones who were being baptized there in Honduras and the ones that we baptized in Chimbote 3 weeks ago or whatever that was, because a lot of the ones who were baptized in Chimbote were elderly. And the ones who have been baptized that I know of anyway in Honduras have all been like in their teens. And
wow.
And it was just a big age difference there, and John, of course, is very excited for that because it speaks good things of the future of the church there in San Diego.
Well, when we went in December to Ica, the majority of the people we baptized were young too, and so it you would think we had a lot of studies with older folks, but they didn't get baptized. I think we baptized maybe 2 older people, but the rest of them were younger people under the age of probably 24, 25 years of age.
Right.
So it's awesome to get young people in the churches down there too, because they've got,
yeah, that's exciting stuff.
yeah, they got a lot of room to grow. And
yeah, right. Laying the groundwork for the future.
Exactly.
And
exactly.
So our prayers are with those 2 groups on campaign this week. And I know that there are many other mission works that are going on right now also. A friend recently has returned or had a campaign in the Philippines that I know of. Dale Byram from over at Frankfurt, Kentucky. He's in the Philippines right now, I believe, and the team that went with him initially, I think that they've returned back to the States, but they had a really good campaign over there.
I had a conversation with a guy at Richmond not too long ago, about 3 weeks ago, when we went down there to visit them and to let them know about Oath and things of that sort. His name was Brian Hall. He's a missionary in I think Guyana, maybe, or somewhere down there, because he asked Craig and I both if we'd be interested, because he's like, we need all the help that we can get. And he said the best part about this mission is English is their first language. They speak English.
Yes.
And so
having been to Guyana, hey, it's something you should consider.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was actually pretty excited about it. He was telling us a lot about it, and it sounded like it was, 1, a very good work in a place that really needed that work, and 2, it seemed like it would be a much smoother transition for us going into an English-speaking country than it is sometimes for us to go into a Spanish-speaking country.
Well, having been to Guyana, I'll say this: their English is not our English.
Okay.
They're
right.
They use words differently than we do.
The sentence structure and things are different.
Yeah, and if you asked a Guyanese, how far away something was, the answer was always going to be just so.
Just so.
Just so. And you had to watch them, because they were going to point down or across or up. And if they pointed down, and of course they're actually pointing down, but the camera angle here and everything. But if they pointed down and they said just so, it wasn't very far. If they pointed up and said just so, you were going to be walking a long time. A long time.
How many times did you have to just so, Keith? A bunch?
Well, they asked me where I was from, and I'm like, just so.
I'm from just so.
Just so. But and they would say more better.
More better.
And that was actually a part of their the way that they would talk, and sometimes and of course it's been several years since I've been down there, but every once in a while I'll catch myself saying more better, and it's like a private joke to myself,
Right. Yeah, it's like an inside joke, but with
right. The person that is listening to me is going, "Oh, that dummy," and I'm going, "Yeah, you don't know where I've been," but Yeah. But there are a lot of good works going on there in Guyana.
And speaking of that work, it's actually going on this week. That's why he was really excited about Oath, wanted to be here, but he was going to be in Guyana, so that's what he was doing.
Okay, well,
on this week,
we want to keep Brian in our prayers also.
Yep.
And okay, so you've brought up that Oath is this weekend a couple of times.
Full Oath mode.
So
actually, you know what? I'm going to take you in here and show you the setup real quick.
Okay.
Part of the setup, at least, I guess. It's a dark hallway.
Zach has gone mobile.
I've gone mobile. There we go. That's the setup.
There you go.
So we've got a nice little setup this year. Friday starts at 6 p.m. So if you're a listener and you're near us, remember that. And Saturday we're going to start at 9 a.m. And
okay,
Friday,
and that is actually Friday, July 5th.
Yes, and Saturday, July 6th, and then obviously Sunday, July 7th, we'll have our normal worship times and things of that sort. But Friday, we're going to start out at 6. We'll start out with Kyle Butt. Saturday, we're going to start out at 9. We'll start out with Lonnie Jones. So, it's going to be a great weekend, as always, and I'm excited about it and build on the success that we had last year and go forward with it. We're really excited. We're expecting a lot more people than we had last year, and it's growing. So that's a good thing.
Fantastic.
We're excited about it. We're excited about it. Okay, Keith, what are we going to talk about today on Let's Talk About Christianity?
Wait a minute. While we're still in the preamble of the episode, I've got to throw this out. Seriously, folks, if you want the absolute best way to know what is going on with us and the release of new episodes and things like that, please go to our website, scroll down to the bottom, follow the link to subscribe to the email, and we keep hearing more and more complaints. I can't find you.
Yep.
I'm looking on Facebook.
I've even had people come up to me and say, "You guys talked about subscribing. How do I do that?" So, I've had to walk them through that and stuff like that. I don't know if they ever subscribed, but I showed them how to.
Right. But Facebook is not our friend. And I'm not talking bad about Facebook. I'm just, they're in the business of making money, and
we're in the business of having no budget.
That's right. We have no budget. And so, we're kind of at odds there. So if you're relying upon Facebook for us, you can, subscribe to that email. We will have the audio and the video links in each email. When you go, and actually the videos are on my personal YouTube page, but it's not like I'm putting, cat videos on my YouTube page.
It could be.
The only thing I'm putting on the YouTube page is Let's Talk About Christianity. So go and subscribe to my page. Oh, my phone's ringing there. So I encourage you to do that. And, like I said, we're not going to try to sell you anything because we don't have anything to sell.
We have nothing to sell.
That would totally mess the budget up. So
exactly.
You don't have to worry about that. Yeah. Total conflict of interest. But okay. So today is, as Zach and I are recording this, seen Pablo, since he's
wherever he's at,
who knows what, and
eating.
But all he's doing is eating. He's going to come back from this campaign having gained 20 pounds.
Yeah. He's probably in a supervisory role with the other translators, and he's just eating while he's supervising.
Probably. I see that. I could very
Abraham,
see that.
Go over there, translate.
Abraham's there, yeah. Because I saw a picture with Abraham. And,
I really liked Abraham, and I only got to talk to Abraham for like 5 or 10 minutes, but I really liked Abraham.
Yeah, well, I saw him in a picture on Facebook last night, and I commented and I said, you need to keep an eye on that guy. He looks like trouble. But anyway, today is July 3rd, and that means that tomorrow is
July 4th.
July. Yes.
Independence Day.
And it is, I don't know, it kind of saddens me to see how Independence Day has changed over my lifetime.
Well,
and
it's even changed over my lifetime. I'm 22 years old, so you know what I mean?
Well, I'm old enough that I can remember the bicentennial celebration of 1976.
I remember back in the day, 1776.
I'm not old, 1776. There we were. But and I remember that celebration back in 1770. Back in 70.
Just say it. You were there when they signed the Declaration of Independence. You were in the room, Keith.
I handed the pen to John Hancock. I told John, sign it big.
He's old. He's old. Another year older.
That was a massive nationwide celebration.
Yeah.
At our bicentennial. And then today, and I hadn't even thought about this till we started talking about this a few minutes ago. But I don't think I saw an extra flag out anywhere.
Right.
Driving in this morning, and I wasn't really looking, but because I wasn't really looking, had there been flags out everywhere, I probably would have taken notice. There are no flags out anywhere. People don't have them in their yards. Businesses don't display them like they used to. And
Well, you used to have decorations and things of that sort as well, and I really don't ever see any more decorations. People don't decorate much now. My mother does, but my mother decorates for everything. But you don't really see a lot of decorations. It's mostly become, this is what July 4th has become for people: a day of fireworks,
preach it,
a day of reunions, and a day of cooking out. That is what July 4th has come, and a day off. That's what July 4th has come to in our nation, and it's sad to see.
The 4th of July used to be the hallmark celebration, in our year. And now it has been reduced to being just another holiday.
Yep.
And
just another day.
That is extremely sad to me as an American. And we were talking about some things before we began recording, that have just been going on. The anti-patriotism within our country, and and that's something, honestly, I never thought I would see. And we go to the document that started it all,
the foundation of our democracy.
I think we have located the root of the problem, or a root of the problem. We go to the document that started it all. And I'm going to read here just a little bit. I'm not going to read the whole thing because, we're down to like 10 or 12 minutes left in our time. But in Congress, July 4th, 1776,
Keith was alive.
Unanimous declaration of the 13 United States of America. And interestingly enough, United is in small print, where States of America is in larger print, Anyway, when in the course of human events it becomes necessary for one people to dissolve the political bands which have connected them with another, and to assume among the powers of the earth the separate and equal station to which the laws of nature and of nature's God entitle them, a decent respect to the opinions of mankind requires that they should declare the causes which impel them to the separation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that whenever any form of government becomes destructive to these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or to abolish it, and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. Prudence, indeed, will dictate that governments long established should not be changed for light and transient causes, and accordingly all experience hath shown that mankind are most disposed to suffer, while evils are sufferable, than to right themselves by abolishing the forms to which they are accustomed. But when a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Such has been the patient sufferance of these colonies, and such is now the necessity which constrains them to alter their former systems of government, The history of the present King of Great Britain is a history of repeated injuries and usurpations, all having in direct object the establishment of an absolute tyranny over these states. To prove this, let facts be submitted to a candid world. And then they began listing their grievances against King George. So anyway, reading that, I want to say, and I'm probably going to make even some mad saying this, but if you've seen, and of course I haven't been to Broadway and seen the musical, what's the name of it? I can't even think. Hamilton. There is a very strong, and from the historical perspective, even realizing that a lot of it is fictional, or some of it is fictional. Most of it is based on history. There is the opportunity for embellishment,
right?
And there's a great emphasis that is placed upon the fact that the founders of our nation were guilty of treason against the British Crown. That is true. That is absolutely true. But when reading the Declaration of Independence, you see biblical principle after biblical principle after biblical principle. And, we won't get into that whole political discussion of, did they do the right thing and stuff like that. It's history. It happened. But we've got to be careful not to try to rewrite history. And what is interesting to me is that as we read those first two paragraphs of the Declaration of Independence, we see a lot of the same things happening in our society today.
Mm-hmm.
And we've seen some big changes, as we were talking about a few moments ago. And there are efforts to fundamentally transform our government, and based upon what is in the Declaration of Independence, we could ask why.
Right.
By bringing these transformations, we are in some ways violating the Declaration of Independence. But there within those two paragraphs, I didn't count as I was reading through, but there were a number of references to God in there, at least three.
Our Creator, yep.
And the very fact that all men are created equal, being created implies a creator. And these things, as you pointed out, this document serves as the foundation for the establishment of our nation. And I don't know. I wonder, if there were a Independence Day gathering in some of our communities today, if our national politicians could read the Declaration of Independence, if they were so asked to do.
Because of the current political environment that we live in, political correctness.
And that's really sad to me. But we want to make a spiritual application to this, of course.
And I think that comes in the form of a question too, Keith. And that question is, what is freedom to you?
Ooh, what is freedom to me? Well, freedom's the right to drive my pickup truck and own guns. And
freedom is right to drink as much coffee as I want to drink. McDonald's coffee.
Yeah, I got McDonald's this morning. I went by the gas station where I normally get coffee, and it was covered up this morning. Like there were no parking places. I'm like, all right, guys,
don't have time.
I love you, but
don't have
has a drive-through, and
they're quick.
but freedom is one of those slippery things that's very hard to define.
It is it's a very broad term because freedom can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people.
Well, and it can mean a lot of different things in a lot of different circumstances.
And it's a very specific term as well. I mean, freedom can be specific things in the lives of certain people. So, it's a very broad, but also a very narrow and specific term, if that makes any sense.
I think it's a very subjective term. And I would, let me use this example. A prescription medicine that frees one individual from pain can bind a different individual to the addiction of that medicine.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
The same drug having power to do good on the one hand can do harm.
It can serve different purposes.
Yes. And in my opinion, freedom is much the same.
It is.
And here's the thing about it is, and this is just the way that it is, but you don't hear this expressed very often. There is no such thing as absolute freedom.
Mm-mm.
Because of that very thing that I mentioned right there. Because what is freedom to one individual is going to restrict someone else. And and we talk about those things: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Or we could talk about life
all day long.
And the abuses to life that are occurring within our society on so many different levels, from those who are supporting abortion to I am a supporter of law enforcement. Having said that, I realize that there are some who abuse the powers that have been given to them. So there's another fine line that is there. Those individuals are there to protect and to serve, and then there are those who they're corrupt for whatever reason in whatever way, and they are abusing
the powers that they've been
given. That they have been given, and in doing so, they are removing freedom from individuals whose freedom they are supposed to be protecting. So, but anyway, wow, we're like totally out of time. I mean, like we're at 28 minutes. I just happened to check. We're totally out of time. But here's the thing about it: the only absolute freedom that actually exists is in Christ Jesus.
Exactly. Freedom from sin, freedom from the bondage of sin,
and
freedom
perhaps,
to live a life for Christ.
Perhaps we need to just pick up right there next week.
Sounds good to me. Part 2.
And if we get Pablo back.
Even if we don't get Pablo back, it's okay.
That's true. We made it fine without him this week. Hey,
we got to get off of
here. We've got to get off of here. We thank you very much for listening, and I hope that you will celebrate the freedoms that have been given to us by a benevolent God and a benevolent government.
Go buy a flag instead of a firework.
Well, any good redneck's going to have fireworks, but I mean, that's just the way it is. But
and coffee.
Yeah. Everybody have a safe 4th of July, and we will see you next week.